With steady electricity, music studios in Lagos and Lusaka stay open late. Filmmakers across the continent now edit their stories with uninterrupted power. Local radio stations light up remote villages, and African podcasts reach a global audience. And as electric highways carve new paths across the land, they also carry new voices, new art, and a new narrative of Africa rising, not in survival, but in brilliance. China wants to collaborate. The EU wants to co-invest. Even the U.S., long absent from African infrastructure, is proposing clean tech alliances. But Maxwell's team is clear. No more extractive deals. No more dependency. We partner on our terms, or not at all. Africa has proven that when it builds for itself, it builds better, cleaner, faster, fairer, smarter. This is no longer just Africa's electric highway. It's the world's clearest route to a sustainable future. Across the continent, cities are evolving, not from the top down, but from the grid up. In Lusaka, entire neighborhoods once known for darkness after sunset are now bathed in soft LED glow powered by solar microgrids. In Kigali, vertical farms and city centers thrive under 24/7 LED lighting, reducing food miles and empowering local produce markets. In Nairobi, traffic lights no longer rely on aging diesel backups. They're now tied into a real-time energy web that prioritizes emergency routes and public transit lanes. Urban planners are now grid-first thinkers. No power, no plan until now. Thanks to Maxwell's backbone, new cities are being designed around sustainability, mobility, and energy resilience. The electric highway doesn't just move electrons, it moves people. Maxwell's network has become the foundation for Africa's EV revolution. In Ghana, e-buses now shuttle commuters across Accra, recharging seamlessly via solar depots. In Namibia, long-haul electric trucks move goods across deserts using fast-swap battery stations, a tech designed in collaboration with Chinese partners. And in Kenya, the first solar-powered bullet train prototype is being tested on a high-speed line between Nairobi and Mombasa. But the most innovative leap? The Solar Mobility Corridor Initiative, an electrified AI-map route designed specifically for EVs, tuk-tuks, and electric motorcycles, complete with rest stops powered by off-grid solar farms. This is an imitation of the West. It's an African model made for African terrain, speed, and lifestyle. For decades, energy poverty was a phrase stamped on Africa. But now that narrative is flipping, and with it, justice is being restored. In regions historically bypassed by colonial railroads and post-colonial investments, Maxwell is placing priority energy corridors. From forgotten fishing villages of Lake Malawi to the dry highlands of Lesotho, the neglected are now connected. No longer does access depend on urban proximity or political favor. Maxwell's grid is algorithmically designed to prioritize need over profit, a system where energy goes first to where it matters most. It's energy not just as a resource, but as a right. As Maxwell's grid tightens its hold on the continent, the vision expands further. Satellite-linked energy relay stations are being tested in the Indian Ocean to power island nations like Mauritius, Madagascar, and Comoros. Talks are underway with Middle Eastern nations to create a cross-continental solar belt from Morocco to Oman. Even Brazil and Indonesia have sent delegations to study how Africa turned its greatest energy challenge into its greatest strength. Africa, long seen as the last to industrialize, has leapfrogged the fossil age entirely. Now, it's becoming a teacher to the very countries that once tried to teach it. And the name Maxwell? It's no longer just a company. It's a movement. Maxwell's team just announced their next big project, Project Ubuntu, a plan to create a fully decentralized blockchain-powered energy economy across all 54 African nations. A system where every home with a solar panel becomes a micro-utility, where villagers can sell power to cities, where no central authority controls a grid. The people do. It's not just an electric highway anymore. It's a continent-wide energy democracy, and it's powered by a belief as bold as the sun that fuels it. Africa will not wait. Africa will not ask. Africa will build. The story of Maxwell's electric highway isn't just about energy. High voltage is about redefining what's possible when a continent refuses to be underestimated. It's about a people who stopped waiting for permission and started building their own future. From Zimbabwe's first spark to Cairo's shining skyline, the grid now hums with more than electricity. It hums with ambition, with dignity, with power, literal and symbolic. In this new Africa, power doesn't come from oil barrels or foreign aid. It flows from the sun, the wind, and the will of people determined to rise. Musical note, uplifting cinematic music swells. The electric highway is not just infrastructure. It is Africa's backbone. It is Africa's voice. And now, the world is listening. From Harare to Cairo, and soon, beyond the continent's edge. Maxwell's journey is not the end. It's the beginning of something larger than any cable, battery, or blueprint. The beginning of an Africa that no longer follows, but one that leads. Like, subscribe, and join us as we uncover the next chapter in the world's most powerful transformation. Because the future isn't waiting. It's already wired. And it's African. What if Africa didn't just follow the energy revolution? What if it led it? From the heart of Zimbabwe to the streets of Cairo, a silent but powerful network is rising, and it's changing everything. Collision, this is not a story of cables and wires. This is the electric highway that could connect a continent. Globe showing Europe, Africa, this is Maxwell's vision for Africa. Africa is no stranger to energy challenges. For decades, millions have lived without reliable power. But where there are gaps, there is opportunity. And now, Maxwell Energy, a rising force in sustainable tech, is doing something no one saw coming. They're building a continent-spanning, fully renewable electric grid, linking the southern city of Harare with the bustling metropolis of Cairo. This isn't just power. It's a clean energy corridor, stretching over 6,000 kilometers across borders, cultures, and climates. So how does it work? Maxwell's solution isn't just solar panels. It's an intelligent energy web powered by high-voltage, high-efficiency solar farms, dashing away wind hubs in the Rift Valley, battery AI-managed battery storage, satellite antenna and smart grid tech that adapts in real time to energy demand. With satellite-linked control centers, local villages can be connected to the same energy stream as modern urban centers. No fossil fuels, no middlemen. This is infrastructure built for the 21st century and for African independence in energy. But this project isn't just about powering homes. It's about powering economies. With reliable green electricity, white-heavy checkmark factories run longer. White-heavy checkmark schools stay open. White-heavy checkmark electric transport thrives. White-heavy checkmark startups boom in remote areas. And here's the twist. Maxwell isn't selling this to foreign investors first. Their priority is African ownership, local training, and reinvestment. It's not aid. It's agency. Of course, there are hurdles. Brick political red tape, cross-border coordination, and infrastructure gaps still loom large. Globe with meridians, but Maxwell is partnering with governments, startups, and even blockchain-based energy cooperatives to make sure the network remains transparent, decentralized, and community-driven. And the most ambitious part? They want to connect every African capital city by 2035 with zero carbon emissions. Imagine a traveler charging their EV in Zambia, driving through Tanzania, and arriving in Egypt, all on clean power. Imagine a student in rural Malawi, studying by light power by the same grid as a Nairobi tech hub. Maxwell is turning that imagination into infrastructure. And while the rest of the world debates over energy policy, Africa might just leapfrog them all. This isn't just Africa catching up. This is Africa setting the pace. From Zimbabwe to Cairo, a new current is rising. Globe showing Europe, Africa, and it's electrifying the future of a continent. Pushpin, because when Africa builds its own highway to the future, the world will follow. Africa has long been viewed as a resource-rich continent, but always at the mercy of outside powers. With Maxwell's electric highway, that narrative is beginning to shift. Electric plug energy no longer flows out of Africa. It flows within. Chart increasing, and that energy brings leverage, economic power, policy autonomy, and global influence. Governments once dependent on oil imports are now negotiating energy partnerships from a position of strength. Maxwell's grid isn't just turning on the lights. It's turning the tables. Even the African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA, sees Maxwell's network as a foundational infrastructure for economic integration. Because when energy flows uninterrupted, so does innovation, trade, and mobility. I used to walk 3 kilometers just to charge my phone. Now we have power 24/7. My workshop never had steady electricity before. Today, I'm hiring more workers than ever. The electric highway is more than an engineering feat. It's a social revolution. In regions once forgotten, entrepreneurs are rising, schools are thriving, and hospitals are no longer at the mercy of diesel shortages. Women-led solar cooperatives are managing microgrids in Ethiopia. Youth are getting trained as grid technicians in Zambia and Uganda. This is what development looks like when it's designed by and for the people. Maxwell is not stopping at Cairo. Construction next on the blueprint. A western corridor, stretching from Nigeria to Senegal. An eastern spur, branching toward Somalia and Kenya's ports. Undersea clean power cables, linking North Africa to southern Europe. Maxwell's dream is to build the first cross-continental green grid in the global south, a move that can inspire South America and Southeast Asia to do the same. And here's the most revolutionary idea yet. A satellite-connected grid that adjusts to weather and load in real time, using Africa's own satellite infrastructure. It's Africa, not Silicon Valley, writing the next chapter of energy innovation. This story began in Zimbabwe, but it doesn't end in Cairo, because energy like hope is spreading quietly, powerfully, and without permission. Maxwell's electric highway is no longer a vision. It's a living, humming lifeline running to the veins of Africa. And for a continent often written off as the last of the table, this highway says one thing clearly. Vertical traffic light Africa is not catching up. Africa is leading. As Africa electrifies from within, the world begins to watch more closely. European nations, once seen as the primary exporters of energy technology, are now requesting grid-sharing agreements with African states. Why? Because Maxwell's network isn't just clean. It's cheaper, faster, and smarter than legacy systems in the West. Globe showing Europe, Africa in Brussels and Berlin. Energy ministers are proposing Africa-Europe clean energy bridges. Waterwave undersea line from North Africa to Southern Europe are now under feasibility studies. Scroll Africa negotiators, once sidelined in global climate talks, are now center stage because they own the future's blueprint. This is what energy independence looks like. Not isolation, but influence. Maxwell's grid is no ordinary infrastructure. It's alive. At the heart of this vast network lies NICA, an AI-powered neural system modeled on African weather patterns, population migration, and regional demand spikes. Brain NICA learns. It predicts. It adjusts power flow across thousands of kilometers in milliseconds. When a dust storm reduces solar input in Sudan, NICA shifts low to battery reserves in Tanzania. When heavy rainfall boosts hydro in the Congo, it reroutes excess power north. This isn't just a smart grid. This is an intelligent continent. Maxwell's approach has made Africa the first region in the world with an AI-managed transnational energy brain. And here's the best part. NICA was trained by African engineers in African labs for African needs. Behind every solar panel, smart node, and grid tower are thousands of young Africans, trained by Maxwell's Power Academies. This isn't just about energy. It's about employment, innovation, and ownership. Africa is no longer a consumer of green tech. It is a manufacturer, the innovator, and the global supplier. Energy transforms more than economies. It transforms culture.